Hello, 7th grade, and welcome to Lesson 7-6 on transforming formulas. In tonight's lesson, you're going to be able to solve a formula for a given variable, and you will also be able to use these transformed formulas to solve different problems. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, when we talk about formulas, usually we use them to find an answer. They tell us, oh, the linear expression, if you put 3 in, it'll tell you what this is. Or if we're talking about distance, rate, time, well, rate times time equals distance. If we put in some numbers for those, you're going to find out the distance. Or if I do area is equal to pi times radius squared, well, normally that tells us the area of a circle. So if we put in the radius, it'll tell us our area. Now, when we transform formulas, we're talking about they change. Just like with transformations, that's all about the change here. How you can change from a caterpillar, go into a cocoon, and then turn into a beautiful butterfly. Well, so in math, we have formulas that change or transform. So when we transform a formula, it changes it to represent one of the variables in it. So for example, I have this one at the bottom. X is equal to 3 minus y. And here it says I want to solve for y. So what I always do first when I do these is highlight the one that I want to get by itself. That way I know what is my goal. Well, my goal here is to get y equals. So I have to take a look on that side that has y and decide what is on the same side that I need to get rid of so I'd have y equals. Well, here we have this 3 that's just being there that we have to get rid of. So what I'm going to do, well, if they have a positive 3 there, in order to get rid of it, I'm going to subtract it. In order to keep our equation balanced, you have to do it to the other side as well. So here, now I have a negative y equals, well, those are not like terms, so I write it as x minus 3. Right? So that's what I have right now. And then I have to get y by itself. Right now I have a negative y. Well, that's not what I want. So I need to multiply or divide by a negative 1 to get it by itself. In this case, I can just multiply by negative 1 because we know that 2 negatives make a positive. So when I do this, I have y equals, well, negative 1 times x minus 3, which is just negative x plus 3. So there we go. I transformed this formula from x equals into y equals. So that's what we're working on tonight. Here we have this one. Solve the circumference formula. So the circumference is equal to 2 times pi times the radius. And it tells us right here we're going to solve for r. So I'm going to highlight it. Now on this one, I'm going to take a look. I have to get r by itself, so I have to see what is on the same side as it. And I see, well, this 2 and pi. Now here I have to decide what operation is happening now, because in order to get rid of it, you always do the opposite. Well, 2 pi r, if they're put together like this, that means they're being multiplied. So I really have 2 times pi times r. So to get rid of it, I could do this in 2 separate steps, or else I could just do it in 1. Well, both of them are being multiplied, so I'm going to just go ahead and divide by 2 pi, because then those 2 will cross out. And again, I do it to the other side. So here I have the circumference divided by 2 times pi is equal to the radius. And that's what I have. All right, now we have a few more to do. I'm going to do, well, you know what? I want you to try to do these. Go ahead and do A, B, and C. And when you're all done, go ahead and just check to see if we have the same answer. So here you're going to solve for the variable indicated in red. So you want the one in red all by itself. So A, you're trying to get S equals. B, you need K equals. And C, it needs to be P is equal to. So go ahead and pause me now. All right, let's check our answers, shall we? All right, so in this one, you have P is equal to S minus C. And I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite this again. That way, I have a little more space to write. And on this one, I need to get S by itself. And I take a look. Well, they're subtracting C. So to get rid of a minus C, I'd add C to both sides. And I'm left with, and again, these are not like terms. P and C are not the same, so I just put them together. P plus C is equal to S. That's your answer for A. And then for B, we have H divided by the k, so what we want by itself, divided by j. All right, so again, we need to solve for k, and I take a look. Well, j's on the same side, and they're dividing by it. So here, I times by j. And I have j times h is equal to k. That'd be your answer. Now in C, we have L is equal to principal times rate times time, or L is equal to P times R times T. And in this case, we're solving for P. All right, and again, this is one where they're multiplying all of it together. So in order to get rid of those multiplying ones, I'm going to just divide them by R and T, because those end up crossing out. And I'm left with P is equal to L divided by R times T. Those are the three answers you should have had. All right, so now we're going to get into a little bit more tricky one because there's a few steps involved in this one. Here, we need to solve this perimeter one. P is equal to 2 times L plus 2 times W, meaning 2 times the length plus 2 times the width gives you the perimeter. And we need to solve for W. So again, I outline it. Now, when you have steps like this, there's this 2L still here, and we need to get rid of this 2 in the end. What you end up doing is you see, is there anything on the same side as that W that has nothing to do with it? So it's not multiplying by W or being divided by W. It's just being added or subtracted on that same side. And the answer here is yes, there's this 2L. This has nothing to do with W. It's just 2L plus 2 times W. So here, we don't need to separate 2L. It's just one thing we're putting together. So in order to get rid of 2L, we're going to actually subtract it. We're moving this whole thing to the other side. And when I do this, I get P minus 2 times L is equal to 2 times W. There we go. So that's what I have now. But I still need to solve for W, getting W by itself. So I take a look, well, they're multiplying by 2, so I divide. So here, my answer is P minus 2 times L divided by 2 will give me W, or the width. That'd be your answer. All right, so here we have a couple two-step ones. So again, you start by seeing, is there anything that you can just add or subtract from the other side? Then you look at anything you can undo with multiplication and division. I would like you to go ahead and try to solve these, and when you're all done, check your answers. So please pause me now. All right, let's check these. A, we have 5 times A plus 7 is B, and we need to solve for A, meaning we have to get A by itself. So again, right now, something that's just being added or subtracted is a 7. So since they're adding it, I subtract it. And I'm left with 5A is equal to B minus 7. And then our next step, again, I'm still solving for A, so I highlight it again. While they're doing 5 times A, to get A by itself, I'm going to divide because that's the opposite. So I have left A is the same as B minus 7 divided by 5. There we go. Now B, same idea occurs. Y is the same as X divided by 3 plus 8, where we are solving for X. All right, the thing being added or subtracted here is 8, so opposite of that is subtracting. I have Y minus 8 is the same as X divided by 3. All right, to get X by itself, well, they're dividing by 3 right now, so I have to times by 3. And what's really important to recognize, and this is where people make a mistake, is everything on this side is actually getting multiplied by 3. Just like in A, everything on this one got divided by 5, both B and 7. Here, everything gets multiplied by 3. So we really have, if I do the distributive property, 3y minus 24 is the same as x. So you need to watch for those sort of problems because, again, if they have some term on the other side and they divide it, well, make sure you multiply everything by that number. So here we get a word problem of it. You plan a 600-mile trip to Eureka. You estimate your trip will take about 10 hours. To estimate your average speed, solve the distance formula D is equal to R times T for R. then substitute to find the average speed. So here they're giving us a way we could actually use this. D is equal to R times T, but they tell us, first things first, I want you to solve for R. So get R all by itself, and then put in the numbers. So I take a look, well, what's on the same side as R? That's T, and they're being multiplied, so we divide. So I'm left with the R is equal to D divided by T. So now I'm going to go ahead and put in the information they give us. And remember, this is the distance formula, so D is equal to distance, R is rate, and T is time. So we're planning a 600-mile trip. Well, that 600 miles is our distance. And then, let's see, do they give us the time or rate? If I go back up, you estimate your trip will take 10 hours. Well, 10 hours is the time. So if we divide that out, we go ahead and we end up with 60. It's going to be about 60 miles per hour. That would be our rate. All right. Next one, and I do want to go through this because this is a little bit different. Here we have solve C is equal to 5/9 times F minus 32. All right, and it says a high temperature one day in San Diego was 32 degrees Celsius. Solve this expression or equation, for F, then substitute it in to find the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. So in this case, they want us to solve for F first, and I can highlight that. Now here, I usually talk about, well, undo addition or subtraction first. But you can't just add 32 to both sides, because right now we have 5/9 times the difference, F minus 32. So that F minus 32 is going to really everything here. All right, so first we need to get rid of this 5/9. And there's a couple different ways you could do it. Some people would say, oh, they're multiplying it, so why don't we divide by 5/9? Well, to divide a fraction by 5/9 is not the most appropriate way to do it. Usually instead of dividing by fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal. So here, my first step would actually be multiply by 9/5. Because again, those end up crossing out and you're left with 1. And I do it to both sides. So now I have 9/5 C is the same as F minus 32. And I'm still solving for F. Well, now from here, I can go ahead and add 32. And I'm left with 9/5 C plus 32 is equal to F. And that is what I get for my answer. All right, however, we aren't quite done yet because all I did was transform the formula. We still have to substitute in this 32 degrees in order to find the actual temperature. So I'm going to do that now. 9/5 times 32 plus 32. And that's going to equal F. Well, 9/5 times 32 plus 32 ends up being 89 and 6/10 degrees Fahrenheit. So that would be my answer. All right, so that was your lesson for tonight. Tonight we talked about how you can transform formulas in order to solve for a specific variable. And then we use that in word problems to actually answer a problem. So I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Night.